So we talked about the targeting capabilities. So is there any, you kind of touched on those. Can you walk us through like how someone would actually do that? Like what they need to think about?
Yeah, I think in my mind, when you're talking about a target role, you can break them into two separate pieces. You want to understand who the person is and then what type of company they represent. The reason why is like, if you told me that your ideal customer was a CFO, but your product costs like $1,200 a month, I'd be like, well, your customer is not a CFO of a 2-person company. Like, you got to make sure that you're targeting a large enough organization to likely have the budget that is needed to do business with you. So for the role, you can think about targeting them by their job title. That's kind of a given, but their seniority, their department that LinkedIn calls job function, their skills, groups they're members of, and several others, but those are kind of the main ones that we love. And then on the company side, the other things you can layer on to make this a better audience is you can layer on the company's size, their industry, and if you're doing like what Isaac's talking about, account-based marketing where you're targeting just specific companies, you can even target by a specific company name. And that's probably only a fifth of everything that's available. The targeting on LinkedIn is so good.
So what I'm hearing is that we really need to think about who we're targeting, who we want to target before we even jump into LinkedIn ads land. I'm going to call it LinkedIn ads land. Yeah.
Yeah, you totally can. One thing I'll throw out there is that it doesn't cost anything to create a LinkedIn ads account. You don't spend until you actually send an account or like an ad live. So you can go and create all of these audiences. You could create even a dummy campaign. Just explore like,
oh, I like that idea. Kind of like test it out, create a dummy campaign, figure out what, because, as business owners, we always are like, oh, I want to do this. 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 But everything costs time and money. It just does. So, exactly. Before we jump into, okay, Mary, let's all, I have some clients, and if they're watching, they're probably going to go, oh, let's do LinkedIn ads. Be like, well, let's think about it. How many other fish do you have in the frying pan? Are you going to have the time to go through and create that target audience? So I love the idea of creating a dummy campaign and kind of getting comfortable with that. That's a great idea.
And there's also a nice little bonus. If you create an account, it will prompt you to create what's called an insight tag. And it's a little piece of JavaScript. And don't let this geekiness deter you. It's the same thing that Google and Facebook and Twitter all give you as well. You put this little piece of JavaScript on every page of your website, have your webmaster do it, if that's all sounding foreign. And what LinkedIn starts doing, they give you free audience demographics on your audience. And
what? So that's crazy.
Yeah. And it's the same kind
crazy
of stuff.
Good.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so underappreciated. I would imagine a lot of people out there know about Google Analytics.
Yes.
Free insights into like your website traffic. Maybe a few know of like Facebook analytics that they kind of break down who someone is socially on your website. LinkedIn has the same thing and no one knows about it. And it'll break down your website visitors by their seniority and what job titles and what companies.
And this doesn't cost anything to do. Like, okay, so
free.
I do Tuesday tips. So, I'm going to have to do a little research on that. I'm going to give you credit because you're where I learned it from, but I'm definitely going to put that out to my audience because who doesn't want free insights?
Exactly.